Okay? Say this is heaven, a sea of consciousness, or the ocean of consciousness, okay? So this is us, all individuals, okay? We're all a river, okay? And there are billions and billions of us, all right? And we're all separate and individual as our rivers, yeah? And this whole sea of consciousness is God, it's heaven, it's Christ, it's ourselves, it's every one of us. So we as a river, okay, are on our journey, like up the ladder, like we discussed. And we're going through all of these kind of blocks and obstacles and everything, right? But what we're all doing is flowing in here to this ocean. But in that ocean, all right, you can't see, if you imagine, say, the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or whatever, you don't see 1,000 rivers in the ocean. There's no individual rivers in an ocean. Once the water hits the ocean, it becomes the ocean. You know, so you're not the drop in the ocean, you're the ocean that's in the drop. So when you go back, when you awaken in heaven, you're awakening into this sea of pure consciousness. Okay? It's not that you're going to, you know, God's going to be over in this corner and somebody else is going to be here. Oneness is oneness. There's no separation, there's no division. Okay? You're going to experience yourself as everything, like Margaret was saying. You know, it's a consciousness of everything. Yeah? So, just in this last diagram, again, let's say this is the sea of consciousness. And this is the observer. Put OB for the observer, right? And this is what is. Okay? So what we're trying to do, those people who have touched bliss, all right? This is the bliss here, streaming all the way from the sea of consciousness. And everything here is in the world, and everything here is in the world. Okay? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to move from out here into here. All right? So this is the key. See this blue line coming down here? That's fear. So fear, people come to here and they turn and they go back here and they go back here. Okay? So fear keeps you, this side here keeps you away from the bliss. So those people, and I think Margaret experienced and a few other experienced the fear, but they stayed with it. And they went through the fear into here. Okay? And this is where the stream of consciousness they were able to, because this bliss is there all the time. Okay? And now this is where fear becomes a positive. Because when you're in here, okay, all right, you have to cross that bridge of fear again to come out. So now fear can also keep you in there. Fear can be a positive. Yeah? So fear can be a negative from this side. The ego uses fear here as a barrier, a block, to keep you at this side. And keep you here. Okay? But when you accept what is, as we're doing in the observer and the meditations, the barrier of fear comes down and you go into it. It's kind of like, do you remember Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves? What did he say to open the... Yeah, do you know? Well, it's kind of like, here's, you know, accept what is, the total of accepting what is. And you can't take, you know, everything you learned in your books in here. Do you know? There are no thoughts in here.
What are you saying about fear being a positive?
Because when you're in there, then okay. if you're...
When you're in there, there's no fear.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, right, what fear is, say you're in there and your mind starts to wander or you lose the stream of consciousness, you'll come to this, but you'll experience fear. At that moment, you should be saying, right, at that moment, you should be saying, right, I must correct this because I want to stay here. Because what you're attempting to do then is you're attempting to cross this barrier back into the world of form, into the world of another identity. Okay? But your acceptance of what is will open that door through the fear to allow you in. But what will attempt to bring you back out again is your desire or your wish or your need to change what is in here. So that anytime you attempt to change this reality of what's in here, then you're exiting back out again. Does that make sense? Do you know? So it's like when you're in the right mind here, okay? And you're really having a good time. And all of a sudden, you have this wave of fear. What's that fear telling you? You have made an error. You know, you have thought something, you know, that you shouldn't have thought. Yeah? And you see this here. Think honestly what you have thought that God would not have thought. And what you have not thought that God would have you think. What's the answer to that? Come on. We've been talking about this the last 2 workshops now. What have you thought that God has not thought? No. No. Right. You have thought? There is no thought. Serious? Yeah? Yeah. And you could say, yes, the I am. Okay, but, you know, there is no thoughts. That's what we're talking about. Do you know? All right. God doesn't think. God is being. Just be. Do you know? So every thought that you have, God would rather have you not think it. So to be the observer is basically to be without thoughts, as we went through that diagram. Yeah? Any questions on that?
What about karma? If we came in with a contract to be in this state for a certain number of years, how do we get out of it? How can you change if it's your karma to be in this quality state?
Again, you're making a statement. Yeah. Well, yeah. All statements would come from a belief. What karma really is, okay, you can but give to yourself. So if you hurt someone else, and let's say it's Margaret, okay, and I do something to cause hurt to Margaret. Margaret is a part of myself. Okay? In the Course, what we're told is everybody outside of ourselves is a projection from our mind. So Margaret is a part of my mind. If I hurt her, I'm hurting a part of my mind. So there is no karma. There's nobody sitting out there that's saying, oh, you did this, so you have to go through this. You are your own karma. You can but hurt yourself. So if you have a thought of attack or hurt or guilt or something you lay upon someone else, what you're really doing is that's the mirror that's reflected back to you, and you will feel that back because that person is a part of your mind.
That's actually one of the lessons when you walk with lessons.
Yeah.
I'm affected by
Yes. Yes. You can only be hurt. You can only hurt yourself with your own thoughts. No one else can hurt you. Absolutely no one.
How about negative entities? So people that have negative...
Where does that come from?
Comes from a thought.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Do you see where I'm coming from? If you know, and the power of belief, like Jesus says, you know, you can believe anything you want. And when you mix a thought with belief, you can literally move mountains. So, you know, this is what we're talking about in beliefs. Give them up. You know, they're causing you a hell of a lot of hassle.
Then you have to give up the world,
No, you don't.
You can't operate in the world without thoughts.
How do I... Right, well, how do I survive? How do I survive?
By using your thoughts and beliefs.
No, I don't. I'm not, you see, you're going to have your thoughts, you're going to have this, but I have no beliefs. I'm not attached to anything.
How about your subconscious beliefs?
But listen, you know, they're all just levels, unconscious, subconscious, conscious. You know, these two don't exist
How can you access your subconscious?
because it doesn't exist. There is only a conscious. But, huh? Exactly. But you believe that it does. So, you know what I'm saying? Once you become conscious, all right, you're basically become conscious that there is nothing else. I'm conscious that there's nobody in this room separate from me. I'm conscious that to help you, I help myself. To teach you, I teach myself. Like Jesus says, if you want to learn this course, teach this course. You can only teach yourself. And I only teach myself. I could stand here and think how great I am that I'm helping all yous. I'm standing here thinking how great I am because I'm helping myself. You see, it's just a different way of thinking. And when you're conscious, you will think differently. But when you're here, you're not thinking at all. Because this level is ruled primarily with beliefs. Only by beliefs. Yeah.
I think it's somewhere in the course it talks about the thought of God alone is true. So the thought of God alone is being.
Just on thought, and that says that, so what you have thought that God would not have thought, and what you have not thought that God would have you think. And then you go along to say that there's no thought. So what does the second part of that sentence mean? I'm not being funny this time, not for once.
So what have you not thought that God would have you think?
There's very little that I haven't thought, believe me.
That's your answer.
So basically, God doesn't want me to think anything.
Well, there's nothing to think about. Just be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Let's get to our homework. Okay, those people in those people who haven't got last month's who want to start, just start last month, okay? And then you can just, you know, you're going to be a month behind, all right? But this is not about, you know, you're missing out on anything. This is about to reprogram your own mind. So it's very important that even today's, don't attempt that. Do, like Margaret is the primary example of this. Do follow the instructions on this and do as it says. Huh? Exactly. You keep. This is nothing to do with your own work. This is, if you want. Basically, what this is saying is, if you want to fast track, if you want to say, right, you know, I don't want to spend the next 20 years, blah blah blah. I want to waken up. Okay. So this is on top of that. All right. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Do you know? It doesn't matter. I mean, what this is really doing, right, is getting you to be more conscious in what you do. And the more conscious you are, okay, the less fear you're going to have, the less guilt you're going to have. You're going to be in this state of mind. So the quicker that you're waking up to the conditions of this state of mind, all right, it just means that you're going to have a better life. So it's not about replacing your own personal work, what you're doing with the course, carry on that. This is on top of that, above that. And if you don't have to do it now, you can keep these and set them aside and say, right, I'll start this in 6 months or whatever. This is a 12-month program, and it's designed for 12 months. So those who want to do this now, do it now. Those who do not, basically take this, set it aside and say, I'm going to do this. But what I said to everybody the last month was, right, if you're going to do this, do it correctly. All right? And you won't go wrong. You can't miss on this. All right? But like Margaret, don't try to do it your own way, do you know? Okay?
Michael said that last month's 3 times a day,
Is
15 minutes. We don't need to do that anymore.
hold on a minute. Right. What we do now, right? This is month 2. So what you've been doing for those who have done month 1, you continue the same process.
This is an addition, not a
Never. Right. So what you're really saying is here, right? This is too much freaking hassle.
I'm only asking a question.
How many meditations are you doing a day?
Some days 3.
And some days.
Yeah, not every day.
Right. Okay. Why not? That's okay for the first week or 2 weeks. So what you're really saying is, I'm going to test this to the limit and see what's...
I told you before, the lunchtime.
It doesn't matter. At this,
Well,
yeah.
I've been doing it some days, not sitting down. While
Well, you see, you're making up this as you go along yourself. That's okay if that's the way you want it.
Tell me how to do that.
I didn't tell you to do that.
Oh, I must have misunderstood it. I'm sorry.
Listen, it is what it says here. And what this is about is really a commitment to yourself. It's not to me, it's not to God, it's not to Jesus, it's not to anybody else. This is about you. Do I want basically to experience bliss every day of the week of my life's existence here? That's what it comes down to. And if you kind of think, oh, geez, I have to do this, and like you said, oh, is this on top of this now? What you're really saying, no, but what you're really saying is, I'm fucking happy the way I am, and I don't want to be stressed out with any more shit. You're already stressed out. This is the whole point. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you're not doing it, this is going to be a lifetime. It's not for even 12 months. When you touch base with this, you're going to want to do it all the time. See, I do this every night, and I do it for hours at night time. And it's my most favorite time of the day now, because I get up early in the morning, I do whatever I'm doing, and I can't wait at night time, because this is me out of this world. You know, when you touch base with this, like, you know. So what are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? You know, the authority problem all over again. You know, I have a better way of doing this, you know. And then Virginia in my group turned around and says, can you not do it at 11:30? You know. Okay, right, so what we're doing here, right, is month 1 is continued. And it's not that you're going to, this is going to, primarily what's in this sheet now, there's not going to be another month where there's more. This is the way it's going to be now for the rest. And you're going to want to do this for the rest of your life, because you will get results from this and you'll want more. This is what this is really all about. So month 1, you keep going, all right? Because that is specifically designed to break the day up into 3 places. Okay, the morning one is to set you up for a right frame of mind to get you through the morning. The midday one is to get you through the afternoon. And the evening time one is to get you into the right mind and get you right-mindedness at night time, because it's all cause and effect. You know, if you follow the instructions in this, you cannot fail. Okay? And what's happening is you're becoming more observer automatically in your day. Do you know? And the more observer you are, the more conscious you are. The more conscious you are, the less stress you have, the less problems you have. Yeah, just follow the instructions. That's basically what it is. Do you know? And like I say, there will be resistance to do this. There'll be, oh, I can do it this way and I can do it that way, and you know, all of this. Just observe. Do you know? Remember, you're not going in here to get anything, to expect anything, to demand anything. You're basically going in to make a connection with your own divine self of who you are. Okay? So month 1, you continue what you've been doing for the last month. And if you haven't been doing the 3, you've been doing 2, say, right, for this month, I'm going to try this. You know, always try to progress. You know, if you're not kind of, all right, I could do more. Just be honest with yourself. Do you know? Yeah, are you really giving your best on this? You know, it's 45 minutes out of 24 hours. You know, when you think about it, the rewards from this is out of this world. You know, and don't do it in your bed. And if you're falling asleep in a chair, do it sitting on the ground. Okay?
Can you not just do like what I've been used to doing up to now?
Has that worked for you? Has it worked for you? Has it worked for you? No. Well. Has anybody else want to do it their way? Has anybody done it their way and it's worked for them? Yeah?
Do you want us to
Yeah.
still write it down?
Huh?
Do you want us to still write it down?
If you're doing this,
Sheets me already.
if you're doing this and you're all actually, you know, doing something different to this and you're in bliss, that's okay, you've got there. This is for the people, right, who are still in that experience and fear, guilt, you know, not nice spots, all right? So this is for them, okay? So if you're there already, don't worry about it, you know, that's okay. It's only for those people who really, you know, need this. You see, we do need to be pushed in a way, okay? Because when we're doing the workbook, and I have noticed everybody's doing the workbook, their own way. They're not doing what Jesus says. Because he says just before the workbook, he says, don't judge this. People ring me up the first lesson, what's this all about? And I says, did you read what it just says before that? No. What? And I say, read it. And then they say, oh, right. You know. So it's like we always skip over, and that's the ego. We know a better way. I know a better way to do this. Okay?
You do it in your sleep, can you?
Yep.
You're already asleep.
Yep. So, month 2, the process is this, right? Basically, you're going to have, again, at certain times, and this can take place, and I mean anywhere, okay? Because I remember I would be out and I'd be sitting in a cafe and I'd be having a coffee with somebody, and the next thing I would start talking about Jesus and blah, blah, and someone would go, shh, what do you, just keep your voice down. I'm going, what? Keep your, talk, you don't. Yeah. We're ashamed. Seriously, we're ashamed of who we are. That's what it's about. You know, oh, I can't let anybody know that I'm doing this. You know, oh, just don't mention Jesus, don't mention God, blah, blah, blah. You know who I'm talking about here. There's a couple of people here, right? All right? I'm not one, but I would sit anywhere and talk about Jesus as I would Leah, Debbie, Mary, anybody like. You know, I have no shame over him or anybody else. Do you know what I mean? And that's the freedom that you have in this. You know, you're conscious of the truth. You're coming to the truth. So, at the time set out here, right, all I want you to do, right, is for 60 seconds is just close your eyes, no matter where you are, okay? And just close your eyes. If you possibly can do this, apart from if you're driving a car. Oh, what we're going to do here, we're going to look for the first way out. Give me a scapegoat here. So if my boss is talking to me, I don't have to do it. So I'm going to go now and talk to my boss when I should be doing this. All right, so now that I don't have to do this. What I'm really talking about is you don't put yourself in harm in this, okay? But you don't hide it and be shameful about it, because you are going to do that, okay? There's nothing, and you can use alarms, you can use alarm clocks, you can use your phones, anything to remind you on this, okay? And I know in the workbook that people says you don't have to use, you know, it's about not doing that. I disagree. You know, people are doing the workbook and they have to do, you know, certain times, because the whole thing is to reprogram us. Okay, when we go to school, we have to learn the same sum over and over again, and then it becomes automatic. When we're learning to drive a car, we have to go and get a test, we have to memorize it, we have to go over it and go over it and go over it. Well, this is the same process of learning here. Okay, we're learning to be awake. Okay, we're learning not to get caught up in the whole ego thought system all day, every day, because then you're unconscious. Yeah? We need to break it up. And like I say, these first 2 months, right, after 12 months, you won't need sheets. It'll all be automatic. You'll do this. You'll want to do this. You know, no longer will you be in an unconscious state of mind or even a semi-conscious state of mind. You'll be conscious. You can't lose in this. And on this level of teaching, the level 3, it's so simple. You just be at one with everybody. That's it. There's no forgiveness. All right? What forgiveness is a projection outside of yourself. Now all you project is you project oneness, which is love. Can't be anything else. If you're at one with everybody, who is there to forgive? You know, much more simple. Do you know? You're the observer. You look at everybody without a judgment. You won't see sin, guilt, fear, all of this outside of you. You'll see everything different. Vision. Course calls it vision. Okay? So here we have 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 a.m. Okay, for 1 minute. Now, I don't expect everybody to get off and do all of this immediately, straight away. Okay, there are those who are going to do this, but don't knock yourself up, because remember, this is just a learning. It's just to kind of reprogram our minds to doing this. Okay? And then the afternoon, you have 2, 3, 4, and then 8 at 9. Okay? So what I want you to do at night time is sit down with this sheet of paper beside your bed and just tick the boxes that you have done. And that's just to make you conscious of those that you have forgotten. Again, don't feel guilty about this. It's always about, right, I've done 4 today or 3 today, I'm going to do 4 tomorrow. You know, It's a progression. Better yourself all the time. You know, say, right, I'm not going, you know, in a week's time, I'm not going to miss any. In 2 weeks' time, I'm not going to need my phone to remind me. In 3 weeks' time, I'm not even going to need this sheet of paper to tick the boxes. I'm just going to bing. You know, and it might take a month, it might take 2 months. Don't worry about it. Don't give yourself a hard time. You're starting to waken up. You're starting to become conscious. Once you're conscious, that's the end of all problems. There is no more problems. Because you've solved all problems by your false identity. Here, you are who you are. And there's no reason after 12 months that everybody in this room and everybody else in the world can't be that if you put this, you know, because you can get the book, A Course in Miracles, and you can read it from cover to cover and cover to cover for the next 20 years. But you're not actually doing anything. Yeah, you're reading and you're taking in knowledge, but you're not applying anything. The whole point of the course is to get you to waken up, to move to level 3, to get you conscious, to make aware of what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're seeing.
That's not true. You can't read the Course in Miracles seriously and keep reading it and not have it impact in some way on your thinking.
Nobody's talking about that, Mary. But what I'm saying is you can do this here for this lifetime and the next lifetime and still be so terrified of applying there. You know, you're semi-conscious here. As long as you're semi-conscious of everything, it means that you're in conflict with a part of yourself. You're rejecting a part of yourself. The whole point here is to bring everything into oneness. Because when you do bring in, right, just say, in oneness, right, say you do see sin in someone, okay? Because you are love now, okay? Because you're one. You bring that person inside, you don't need to do forgiveness because the love inside you will dissolve that illusion of what you have just seen outside. That's how oneness works. That's how forgiveness works at this level. You become at one with the person. You say, I'm not going to push you away because I see you doing something wrong. I'm going to bring you in. What we keep is what we push away. What we release is what we bring inside. It's the total reversal of our thinking. Okay? So if you're, say, you know, going to work tomorrow and you see, oh, my boss, bollocks, like, you know, just in your mind, put your arms around him, bring him inside, you know, and just love him. And then the bollocks part of him, which is really the bollocks part of yourself, will dissolve in that light. Because that's who we are. We are light, we are love inside. Do you know? It's who we are. Do you know? So bring it inside. Don't reject it. Because that's what judgment does. Judgment is a rejection. Yeah? So, at the time set out in the schedule, at the top of the hour as outlined, simply close your eyes for 1 minute and undertake a silent observer meditation. And you know how to do this. The observer meditation is now as without judgment, without rejecting anything. You just look at the thoughts. You just, you know, you don't become attached to them. You don't try to get rid of them. Okay? You don't judge them. You don't see them as good, as bad, just observe. That's all. And then you repeat to yourself this. As you go into this meditation, when you close your eyes, I am love, for I am as love created me. And that will take you into being. Because remember the cause and effect of the true right mind? I am love. Okay, that'll take you into right-mindedness. So the meditation will be, you will be closer to the observer. Okay? And you're out of the wrong mind of the ego. So now you're observing that thoughts of that wrong-minded ego. And like Ken Wapnick said over and over again, look at the ego. Just by looking at the ego, it'll dissolve. And what he was really talking about was here as the observer. To look without judgment as the observer. Yeah? So that little mantra, I am love, do you know? It's a great little mantra to have because you're reinforcing who you truly are. Then sit silent wherever you are for exactly 1 minute with your eyes closed and observe your mind without judgment, without rejecting anything, without trying to stop or reject any thoughts that may arise. You just simply observe them because all of these horrible thoughts that you might observe, by you being conscious of them is what's going to dissolve them. Okay? Just by looking at them. You'll become conscious of how another person or persons are perceiving you. Simply observe these thoughts also. Observe your reaction to these thoughts. You may feel embarrassed or a little bit shamed. This does not matter. Do it anyway. And if you feel that you're too embarrassed to fulfill this meditation in public, then find a quiet place for this in the first week. Then you will overcome that shame and embarrassment by simply observing these thoughts about yourself. This is not who you are. You will feel no shame or embarrassment when you awaken and become conscious of your enlightenment. It is the thoughts of shame and embarrassment that keeps you unconscious and asleep in the dream. Then each night, take each successful meditation undertaken in the times allocated in the schedule sheet. If you do not remember to do one of these sheets, just leave the slot vacant with no tick in place. Observe the reason why you did not do the meditation and question yourself as to why. If you forget an allocated time, just observe if you tick the box or not. Because the ego is going to want to tick the box to make it look good and to fool you. It's done. All right? This process is designed to bring you as the observer into awareness. This is who you are, so get used to it. And the more you undertake this as a daily routine, the more you're going to wake up to your own enlightenment. Because everybody who is awake at this time on the planet, this is who they are 24/7. So if you have this dream that you want to wake up, you want to become enlightened, this is what it's all about. The beauty about this, the more conscious you come, this becomes so natural. Like Jesus says, miracles are natural. Okay? It's unnatural when they're not happening. So what he's really saying is when you're unconscious, you're in an unnatural state of mind. Okay? A conscious state of mind is the most simplest lived mind in this world. Okay? You have nothing to do. You have no questions. You have no worries. You have no fear. You have no guilt. All right? You have no problems. You love everybody. And you hate nobody. Yeah? Any questions on that?
Something appears in form. Say you're doing all this, and then something appears in form. That's a problem. Okay, we'll just say like you want to use the storms and that as an example, and you're doing this. It'd be very hard to do it.
Why?
Because you'd be.
So what are you doing? What are you doing when you're not doing it then? What are you saying? That you're going to sit and... No, but what I'm saying is here, you know, you have a choice. All these storms are happening outside. What are you doing? All right, would it not be better to just sit there and in the bliss and no matter what the hell's happening outside of you?
Does it black out and you're...
Doesn't matter.
And you're freezing to go.
So what you're really saying is you're looking for ways out here of, you know, I'm going to get a list in my head of all the reasons, a wee bit like Mary, all the reasons how I can get out of doing this. If you look at this, right, no matter what is going on all around you, this is the time, and the more hell and the more disruption is outside of you, it should be the more that you're doing this.
So I'll rephrase it actually. What I'm saying is, can this be done with say chaos around?
It not only can be done, but it will be your natural state of being. Being in a peaceful state of mind is not about finding the most quietest, secluded place to do it. You will know when all hell's breaking loose around you, you're still in that center of just being. That's when you have this
So
made.
that can be done in that scenario.
If work had a meeting or talking to your boss, you can't just say, excuse me.
But why would you need to do that? Can you not just close your eyes? Listen, that's not...
My boss is talking to me and I suddenly can't close my eyes. She'd say, am I boring you, Mary? You know, that's not saying
Listen.
you're a 5 past or a quarter past.
No. Okay, I'm not saying you have to do this where it's going to cause problems in your life. If you don't do it, just don't tick the box. But don't attempt to do it when you think, oh, I'm going to do it now at 5 past. All right, you either do it or you don't do it. You don't do it. But be honest with yourself why you're not doing it. Simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, this is about honesty. And the ego is not honest. And in the ego thought system, it's a thought of dishonesty because it's not true. It's a lie. It's a setup. So the whole point, if you look at the conditions of the meditations last month and the conditions of the meditations of this month, all right, it's all about your own self-honesty, your own self-commitment, the commitments to yourself. The honesty is about yourself. Who has all brought the sheets from last month? Right. Everybody who has their sheets with them, drop them here, and everybody who's forgot them, bring them with them next month, because I want them. Okay? And I want these sheets back next month. Okay? And be very careful of the 2 top sheets I give you with the 2 mains, because you're going to need that for the 3rd month. Okay? And I'm not printing all of those out again because it cost me a fortune.
If we're going to be doing the meditations that we did last month again, we don't have sheets for those.
You won't need the sheets. You only need the sheets for the 1st month. Okay? But you continue the meditations.
I asked you earlier, do we still need to
Huh? Yeah. Okay, any other questions? No. No. You do the meditations. Yeah. Okay, thank you.